Jason Johnson is the politics editor for TheRoot.com. That's a news and culture site that looks at news for the African-American perspective and also opinion. And I'm sure, I know I've been looking at your website today, Jason, and the fact that this is a big deal about what's taking place in politics right now, especially with Pastor Burns referencing those tweets as satire in one of his explanations. We've got another Trump surrogate who used actually a different approach and defense this morning with my colleague Stephanie Ruhle. I want you to take a look.
First of all, you're forgetting this is an African-American pastor who put this out there, right? I was on within 4 minutes with Kristen, actually, after this came out.
But it's creating rage around race.
Let me respond. The issue here is this, that wasn't appropriate. And Pastor Burns has said it's inappropriate. But what that shows, what that personifies, is the frustration the African-American community has with Hillary Clinton.
So critics call the outreach strategy so far, Jason, here lacking or tone deaf. Does Pastor Burns' recent actions actually hurt or enhance the Trump campaign strategy for minority outreach?
It doesn't do either, Thomas. I mean, the outreach strategy has already failed. And here's the issue. Pastor Burns, I interviewed him during the RNC. He's a very, very pleasant guy. But the attitude he's expressing is what is fundamentally a problem with Republican strategy. If you hear Pastor Burns say it, he's like, look, you know, it's time for African Americans to get off the Democratic plantation. It's time for African Americans to realize that the Democrats aren't doing anything for you. Here's the problem with that argument. The Republican Party, and in particular Donald Trump, aren't offering an alternative. Democrats didn't start winning women away from Republicans by saying, hey, take off your apron and get out of the Republican kitchen. They started offering policies that married women and single women appreciated and wanted to vote for. So until the Republicans offer policy, it doesn't really help.
And we're looking for that this weekend. Again, he's going to be in Detroit. Pastor Burns was key in setting up what it means for Donald Trump's visit, specifically tailored to be about minority outreach. And we know that Pastor Burns has said that Donald Trump is really speaking to all Americans. Does it feel that way for Americans who happen to also be minorities, Jason?
I mean, the polls say absolutely not. And I think what's key about this, Thomas, to me is it's not just that Trump is polling at 1% and 2% and 0% with Latinos and African Americans and Asian Americans. He's polling that badly in states where you have many African Americans who are Republicans. You know, in Ohio, Trump is at 0%. John Kasich got like 15% of the black vote when he ran for governor again. You know, Chris Christie did well with African Americans. George W. Bush got 15-20% of African Americans when he was governor of Texas. So this is a Trump problem. It's not just a Republican problem. And I don't think there's much that he can say on Saturday. He could show up with a dashiki and a Malcolm X hat on Saturday. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
All right, so we know that politics and professional sports, football specifically, is kind of intertwined right now because of the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, his refusal to stand during the national anthem last Sunday, causing a stir, and also his comments. He's not really a fan of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, but Donald Trump reacted specifically during a radio show in Seattle about this. I want to play it for everybody. Take a listen.
I think it's personally not a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing. And, you know, maybe he should find a country that works better for him. Let him try. It won't happen.
So obviously, when someone protests, I mean, it's an American right to do so. It's obviously an American right to have an opinion if you don't agree with that type of protest. Trump there being dismissive of the issue that Colin Kaepernick is trying to raise attention for, which is basically criminal justice reform, right, police misconduct. What do you think that type of message sends to folks he's trying to reach out to specifically before this appearance in Detroit this weekend?
Well, this is key, Thomas, and I'm a big politics and sports fan. I teach politics and sports classes. What you say about sports as a candidate also resonates with voters, sometimes more than policy. When Jeb Bush was running in the primaries and he said he had no problem with the name Washington Redskins, that hurt him among certain independent voters who think that that name is racist. So what Donald Trump has said is he's, again, just like with Huma Abedin and lots of other issues, he stuck his foot into a situation that, yes, it's going to help him with his base. There's lots of conservatives who think that what Colin Kaepernick did was wrong, but there are lots of African Americans who think, hey, not only does Kaepernick have a right to stand for what he's standing for, there are all sorts of racist problems with this, with the Star-Spangled Banner anyway that he probably isn't particularly happy with, and all he was doing was speaking out for criminal justice, which apparently is something that LeBron James and other athletes can do. So why is it such a problem with Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, he said he didn't care if he lost endorsements over this position, but his quote was in an interview after this, I'm not going to stand up and show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. Jason Johnson from The Root, good to have you on, sir. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. Anytime.
All right.